what are we going to do today? Done a few things, but I also modified a few things of what I originally planned to do. All right. So there are actually three big issues that I want to do with you today. And let's move to the course page real quick to kind of see where we are, which is week 3, almost half time of this course. So in this last week, you worked on exploring new data with R and R Markdown. We had a tutorial here. There was a paper that you read about like what kind of data components are out there to include in your research. We're going to use these things while we're talking through issues to kind of, oh, but this looks like a dependent variable. Have you also thought about control variables, right? In that kind of way, we're going to work with this article today. And I added to the site already like a week ago, I guess, but like I added this doc, a guide to Scrum for researchers, because I felt many of you are still using an old way to collaborate. And in this course, I promised you to become more efficient, and I want to introduce you to the Research Scrum way of working together. So let's talk concretely. First of all, I want to take a few repositories that you guys have been working on, and I want to show you how to properly do your teamwork. That concerns issue management and also maintaining a project board. And I'll break you up in your own teams. I hope that many people are here that you can actually do that. You can also do it in larger teams, I don't care. And you'll work for like 5 to 10 minutes on writing down issues for your projects, the way I explain you to write issues, okay? Then the next step of today's session, I will look at the issues that you have written in your projects, and I'm going to work on them as if I was, a random guy on the internet thinking this is a cool project and I want to contribute. What I'll show you in this respect is how to do this Git workflow, huh? Like, Git Pull. Well, first take a fork, then Git clone, then Git pull, then Git branch, and you work on something, right? I experienced that many students had problems doing this. And actually there's a team, Team 7 actually, which has had some issues, and I'm trying to solve their issues with Git a bit live. But I'm also happy to look at the repositories of other people, and I'll do it live. So you need to experience how to collaborate, and it's best by just watching somebody do it. And, with time, we're going to break out, and you're going to do that too, and point me to problems so that I can fix the problems that you have right now. And then there's this tutorial, and I promised you a walkthrough, but as you may know, sometimes I'm a little, lazy to just like walk you through the things that I have like carefully written out. So what we'll do is, well, either do that if you kind of convince me to do this. Otherwise, we will use what we have learned in this tutorial and also apply it in the projects. And I'll just take one of your projects and do a little data exploration along the lines of what I put forward in this tutorial. All right, so that's a little bit of what I have envisioned for today. So once again, we'll talk about project management, because as I have noticed in team number 5, for example, is that there's not so much project management going on. So if you look at the issues, there are no issues. If you look at the project, there is no project board, all right? So I want to help team 5 to kind of get that started. Team 5, is this also something that we agreed upon earlier when you met me 2 days ago? Amazing, Miranda. So I want you to do something, Miranda, for me. And, and the other people have to watch closely, because you've got to do the same thing eventually. So go to your repository, and I'll show it with mine. Go to settings, go to manage access, retype in your password and scan your fingerprint if you have a Mac, and add me as a collaborator. The reason is that I want to work on creating issues in your project too. That's not the normal way it goes, because typically I'm just like the random guy who contributes, like the one you don't even know personally, but you need to make me a collaborator on this repository so that I can like do a little more. All right. So Nikki, please do that. Add me as a collaborator, and others may eventually need to do this. Please don't do it all, because it's going to blow up my mailbox. But yeah, for Nikki, we need to do this. All right. I'll go back to Nikki's repository and to my notes, which are on the screen you can see. And I want to talk a little bit about Scrum. Well, there are other projects actually who have you know, had some more experience. So can anybody come forward and explain to those people that haven't had the chance to, you know, get started with it? What do I mean when I talk about Scrum and Research Scrum and issues and project? Can anybody come forward and, you know, take over this part? Who has done this a little bit? I explained it actually to many people in the coaching sessions, but not everybody has watched it. So that's why I want to pay some attention to it. So who has been using issues and projects? Actually, who is team 5 who doesn't do this yet? I need to, like, can you wave at the camera? So actually, is anybody on my screen? Where's team 5? I think it's team 5. Who is team 5? This project, Airbnb. All right, Sharda, can you unmute? Is that possible?
Yes.
Hey, sorry for
okay.
That's all right. Okay, good. Can you describe how you are working together? Like, how did how does your team work? So how do you meet up? How did you arrange yourself?
We had some Zoom meetings where we got this ID, and further, yeah, we all don't really have experience in R or Python or anything of this.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So,
good. So how does your meeting typically go when you meet up?
Yeah, we have had 2 meetings, I guess. The first one was looking up the question we wanted to research, and the second one we looked into the data from Airbnb. So yeah, we were questioning what exactly we needed to do to answer our questions.
So, yeah, I understand. That's good. So that's a good start. And that's how I would have approached projects years ago, right? You meet and you do a little bit of work, right? But like over the years, I learned let's say a more structured way of collaborating. And that is the Research Scrum, how I would call it. And there's a link on the course page where you can read it up, but I'll walk you through this, right? So how does this work? Well, the first realization that you need to make is that, you know, you iterate in a project between more chaotic phases where you have lots of ideas and more structured phases where you decide on which tasks to prioritize, right? And in Scrum helps you, you know, iterate through chaotic modes of idea generation and more structured planning, number 1. Number 2, it makes tasks to work on so small that individual team members can work on these tasks independently and, you know, tick them off and get them done. And when you meet the next time, you can all integrate all the individual parts that you have done and enter a new sprint where you again decide on what are the tasks that you want to work on and, you know, what eventually gets solved. I'll show you, right? So Sharda, can you briefly describe, and I'll put the link in the chat so everybody can open this. Can you please describe what you want to do in this project?
We want to look at the prices in Amsterdam, what the impact of the 30-day rule is on the prices. And at first we did want to look at Amsterdam and, for example, Antwerp, to look at the difference between Amsterdam, where the 30-day rule is there, and in Antwerp where it's not.
Yeah, that's clear to me at least. So I'm in the chaotic mood, and you don't have to do this in a team together. You can, but you don't have to. But think of issues as your memory, as your external memory. Every time you have an idea about this project, may be so stupid as, you know, you can imagine, just go there and create an issue and put it up there, right? Something that immediately comes to my mind when you talk a little bit about your project is define which cities to get data from. That's, you know, and what else? What we need to, the impact of the 30-day rule. Okay, when did the 30-day rule start? I actually don't have a clue. Then help me, Sharda. What are other things? Maybe we want to explore some Airbnb data. and maybe download Amsterdam data, prepare a few summary stats over. Do you want to understand how prices changed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Or prices in Amsterdam over time.
We also think about comparing the price differences between the people who do adhere to the rules and those who don't.
Between what? Between
those who stick to the 30-day rule and those who don't.
Yes, shoot it up more. That's interesting. We don't care. We just type it up. And we're gonna clean it up later. What are the things that come to your mind? Not only the team, but other people. What are you interested in? Well, you know, what are other things you could potentially work on? Automatically download data. We don't want to do it manually. What are other things that come to your mind when you think about this project? Deployment. I haven't heard about deployment. How to deploy results. If that comes as a surprise to you, you know, look at dPrep, course, project, and then as part of your motivation, grading details, one of the things is the way of deployment, like PDF, report, dashboard is useful and accessible to general knowledge users. But, you know, deploy results, write a report, have a dashboard. Oh, Lotte, hi. Comparing cities to know which are comparable. Yeah, how to compare cities. That's another good one. How to compare cities with each other. E.g., generate a list of city characteristics. Oh, I'm in the mood of brainstorming. City size, country, number of houses, share of apartments, tourist income. I don't care. Somebody will take this over eventually, right? Okay, what are more stuff? If you think about this project, once again, I'm opening the project page, I browse through it. There are a couple of like infrastructural things that we need to do, right? So you just have a README. If you look at other repositories, which are a little further down in the process, and I'm opening up one of your repositories, let me just see to get your URLs. Speed grader. I'm not going to give you a grade on this one yet, but by the way, please update your link. It's still not proper. Let me go here. Let me go here. Let me just open it up a little bit. Okay, what do you got? Right, other repositories, they already have the data directory and the directories, you know, with generated files and their source code, git ignore. So one thing I want to assign to you guys is start having a directory structure with source, gen, and raw data. Oh, like this. Let me see, methods. Actually, you know, you want to compare, okay, to analyze an event study will be conducted with a window of 14 days. It will be analyzed whether an answer has a significant effect. Okay, event study. I don't know whether you know how to do event studies. And I just pretend I don't have a clue how to conduct an event study. My idea is just like find some R tutorial on how to conduct event studies. Think of this as a template to apply to this project, right? Once again, unlike what you all have learned, I want you to copy and well, not steal, but like get inspiration from the works of others, right? Why do we need to invent this analysis if we can either look at the literature or look at tutorials on the internet on how to do event study analysis, right? So like this, you assemble stuff in a very chaotic way. You can do it independently, you know, bookmark the site, have it on your phone. And when an idea pops up, just click on add issue and, you know, have that issue, right? So I want to show you a little bit about what issues are and what issues are not. And I'll share this thing. And eventually this article is going to be shown on Tilburg Science Hub too. But, you know, this is how to write issues. And I'll walk you through this document really quick. Like, you know, in empirical projects, we use GitHub issues. Every issue has a reporter, the person who created it, but you can also assign a person to it to work on it. So who feels like, wanting to work on this event study? Anybody has a clue? No?
No, but I'm okay for finding out.
Yeah, right now I can't assign anybody for, am I already a collaborator on this or not? Have you added me? Oh, I need to accept the invite probably. So let me pause my share. Did you already invite me?
I think Nikki said she did it.
Yes, Nikki invited me. So I'm accepting her invitation. Thanks a bunch. So right now I can actually start assigning people. Doesn't really need to happen right now, but who wants to take on this issue in your project?
Yeah, that's fine. That's okay.
So Charlotte, there we go. Good, Charlotte's gonna work on this. I'll go back to this issue. Yeah, I mean, you can literally browse through, this thing of writing good issues, actually.
I don't see your screen.
Oh, thank you. Sorry. Resume share. I mean, you can just like go through this. This gives a couple of tips. Like, what is a bad title is abstract, robustness check, or something like this, because it doesn't, you don't need, you don't know what you need to do, right? Good titles are run my event study on the Amsterdam data, because you exactly know what to work on. Okay. So what I'd like you to do for a couple of minutes is to, well, by the way, we first need to gauge how far you are. So actually, I'll do this real quick. So I'm looking at this issue board. How active are you guys? This is team number 3. Yeah, maybe a comment on how you created these issues. Don't tell in what week you want to do things, because your board is going to look so depressing because you haven't done it in week 2, right? The issue is still open. It's already week 3, right? Just say download raw data phase. We'll do the planning later, right? There's no planning involved in this issue creation stage whatsoever, all right? So get rid of this. What you can do is, when you actually are owner of this repository, so add each other as an owner of this repository so that everybody can change the issue names. You click on edit and you relabel this issue. I always relabel my issues because you think you want to do A, but it turns out actually you're doing B. Relabel that issue, because otherwise it looks like quite messy. The other thing, let me look at Airbnb. Yeah, wait, oh yeah. I did this actually. I'm impressed by, is it Eva? I'm not sure what her first name is, but by EA Korteweg, Pien Korteweg, because, and now it's embarrassing, I don't know whether Pien is a female name or a male name, it doesn't matter so much, but because, yeah, I'm not native Dutch, right? So some first names are still a mystery to me. So that's exactly how you should use it, right? So while you get inspiration, just put it, because like 6 minutes ago, he or she put that up, right? And that's exactly how this should be done. Let's look at we've done this. Let me open up a few other repositories to comment up on these issues. So renaming is a thing. This looks pretty empty in the screenshot, but let me go to some other teams to kind of see what you got. This is what I worked on. Exactly. I'm the only one who created issues for this team. Okay, so you got some work to do right here. Same thing here. 5 days ago. Is this really all that you have to do in this project? I don't think so. Okay, so as a first step, what I want you to know is I want you guys to well, either break out as a team or spend, 5 to 10 minutes just creating issues, stuff that you could potentially work on. And if you don't have an idea, go to the grading guidelines and see what I expect you to do. And I'll put it in the chat. Just create issues. See, we want to keep track of all the things that you want to do. There's no right and no wrong. Later on, we're going to close those things that are not important. Open up your project repository. Actually, what you also should do is, yeah, I think you can just open issues at anybody's repository. Maybe your team captain who's owning that repository can also add you as collaborators, so everybody will eventually get access to the project board, which we're going to do in the next step. Okay, is this a way forward? I want you guys to start creating issues like there's no tomorrow. All right, and I'm going to look at what you've created. Okay, so let's spend 5 to 10 minutes. Do you want breakout rooms to do it in your teams, or maybe I'll just open up a few rooms, and if you feel like going in a room with your team, and I'm going to create like 15 breakout rooms. So, you know, you can go there if you like, by team number. I think that works best. Add a room. I'm adding a few more rooms. So take your team number room. I need to open them, recreate, how does that work? Open all rooms. So you can go, and if you want to go to a room, I mean, if you just want to stick around here and do it independently, that's also fine. I just want all your teams to start working on issues, okay? And maybe the teams which are present in this lecture can just put their team names in the chat. Welcome back. All right, let's do a reality check and take a look at what you've done. And I'll just like refresh the page. Okay, so this is what team 3 looked like before. You know, all the issues labeled by week and 5 issues. So let me see what they did. Boom. All right, new issues. Congrats. That's exactly how it's supposed to be. You relabeled and adapt motivation, define value for money. All right, fantastic team members. All right, just 3 tasks in like 5 minutes. All right, that's fine. Let's take this Airbnb pricing where Eva already did a good job. Let's see how active they've been. And yes, change name repository README. Yes, good job. That's exactly how I wanted. Okay, I can't compare here. Investigating Airbnb. Actually, I was the only one active on this project. And also these people opened up number of cities in the analysis, cities to compare. Yes, okay, define about section. I don't know what that means, but I hope you do. Now, here we go. This one also sums up. Data preparation is maybe an issue that I don't really like, in the sense that, what does it mean? What do you need to do? It's too big, right? Let me check it. Did you write anything? No, you didn't. Did you just open this? So I think you've created issues. Data preparation is probably the most undefined issue, right? What do you want to prepare? Do you want to download data, merge data sets? That's actionable. If you assign this task to anybody, it could take this person 2 months to work off this issue, right? That is not what I mean by actionable things. It needs to be biteable pieces, like, you know, a chocolate cookie that you can eat and feel good after. You know, that's what I'm talking. That's what you need to think about when you work on issues. There is a repository that I quickly want to show you, and that is the one by Paulus, who has, you know, a very defined list. I started and showing this, and what you see and what I really like to see is, and where you'll be graded on is, you know, it has a diverse set of people working on this. You know, I kickstarted it, then it was Inge opening an issue, Wouter did some stuff, whoever this is, I don't know your first names, Rolf did some stuff. You know, it's a varied set of actors that does things, right? But now I want to move you to the next stage, and I want to show how these guys have organized themselves, right? So right now, we just have our creative brainstorm, but we still don't know on what to work on, right? And that's what we have sprints for. I suggest you work in 1 week sprints. And how does this work is you create such a board, and you have the backlog and the current sprints to-dos, in progress, and done. And you just follow this team. Paulus, can you please elaborate to the others? I mean, you need to teach others now because some others haven't done this yet. So can you describe your experience? What are we seeing here, and why do you think it makes sense? But you can also shoot me down if you think it doesn't make sense.
Yes, when you come up with a number of issues, then you have to do them for this week or the time period that you want to do it in. So you put those issues that you want to do now into the to-do list.
Yeah.
Then there are also some issues that are not doable for now. So you put those in the backlog. And during the week, when you start finishing issues, you move them either to done, or if they are still in progress, you put them into in progress.
Yeah, you assign one person.
Sorry? This is simply your to-do list for the week.
Exactly. We don't keep to-do lists separately. This is our to-do list, all right? Paulus, can you make me collaborator on this one, please? The settings and just add Hannes data, and I'll accept your invite.
GitHub, so I don't know if I can do that.
Well, okay, I can also switch to this other repos, otherwise that's fine, in which I create this. So let me go to the one, the 30-day rule impact, where I am a collaborator. So first thing that you guys are going to do if you don't have a project board is create a project board, name it, planning. Create that project and add my 4 columns, which is backlog, which is to-do, sprint to-do, sprint in progress, and sprint done. You click add cards and you can add your issues to these things, right? You don't have to work off all the issues that don't need all to be on the board, but oh, where's actually the backlog, right? But you know, let's just drag, drop these things here. I'll quickly show you. And what you need to do is you need to decide as a team on what stuff to work on in the next week. You don't even need to be in work. Like you can also have a meeting on Monday and a meeting on Friday. You know, you find your rhythm. But the way this goes is as follows, all right? One of you guys is a team captain, all right? And then we're going to open up and we're going to plan our sprint, all right? Among all of those things that we want to do, what is it that we realistically can accomplish in the next week, all right? I'm just making this up right now. But since event study is going to be an important thing, I want to assign somebody to this event study, all right? We should think about whether we write a report or an app. I think we safely can explore the Airbnb data for one data set. And maybe somebody can work on this, you know, city data. Well, this is also something we can do. Which analysis is suitable? Yeah, that's somewhat the same thing, right? So you can also close issues. Maybe I rename this. This is what you do in sprint planning. And actually what I'll do is not which analysis is suitable, but think about other analyses methods other than event analysis to conduct comparison. Maybe that is what you should do, right? E.g. ANOVA, and I can add this stuff right here. E.g. ANOVA, linear regression. This is a workable issue. I'll go back to the project board and actually we can start assigning people. So I think it's Sharda who is doing this event study. So who wants to do it? You know, that's kind of how you go forward on this. Who wants to do it? It's a small issue. Sure. Miranda, yeah, good. There we go. Who is more the creative person and wants to think about creative ways to deploy? Maybe not how to deploy. Maybe we should make a different PDF report or some other stuff as deployment. Let's make it concrete. Let's make the PDF the default. If you don't come up with good ideas, let's do a PDF report. But maybe there are other ways. An app, for example. Who wants to do it? Right. You are, yes? But anyways, like this, you start planning stuff and then you just look at your board as the first thing you do when you have allocated time to work on this and you start ticking off these things, all right? So what I'm doing right now is I would say this is something you can do independently from each other. And actually, I would like to, well, let me see. I do want to walk you through Git. You know what we're gonna do? Like, okay, I need to do a quick poll, and I hope that works. Doesn't work because I need to create polls before. This is so stupid. All right, can you give me an indication which teams still need to do their project board? Which teams still need to arrange their project boards? Trang, actually, I don't know your message. This was another issue. 9, please. Are you all done with your project board? You want to do it in class? Okay, yes, Chang wants to do it in class. Put your link in the chat, Chang, because then we're going to look at your project board. And, you know, I would say those teams that want to work on this project board, they do it now. And we're meeting with everybody in actually 15 minutes. So that includes a little break, which is going to be 2:40, please. And I'll define what you're going to do. And I put it in the chat. Continue working on issues. Be creative. Add as much ideas as you have. Number 2 is arrange it on project board for a current sprint. And number 3, that's it. We meet at 30:40 to continue the lecture. Well, actually, there's another thing that I can do. Who has questions and problems with Git, stuff that doesn't work? Like you can't synchronize your repository or issues like this. Julie doesn't understand the Git bash. All right, I see that. But are there, yeah, that's also another good one. All right, I would say we meet back at 13:40. I'm gonna look at all of the project boards. So get your project boards in shape. If you need a break, tell other members to get the project board in shape and take a break. You know, you can, like, not everybody needs to do everybody. That's not efficient. So we meet at 13:40. That's in 15 minutes. And I will then look at your boards and start working off issues. I'll work on your issues, you know, one issue for one team, another issue on another team. And throughout, I'll show you how to use Git and how to work off these issues, okay? So please, you know, carefully curate your stuff while we break, kind of semi-break. Does it sound good? And I'm here in 5 minutes after getting coffee to fix technical problems that you may have or answer questions. All right, see you in a bit. Welcome back to data prep and workflow management. What I have done in the meantime is think carefully about what I want to teach you about Git, and what you have probably done, I hope at least, is to add your repositories to the list of repository URLs. So, which is on this sheet. So thanks a bunch for this. So what I'll do right now is walk through a few project boards and see how it went. Well, maybe you can first share your experience. How did it go? And who was bored? Who was like already said, I know there's one team that was like pretty far, but like, was it useful to other teams? What's your experience? What did you guys do? More issue management, more writing, difficult to come up with issues. Well, Jeroen, which team number are you at? I'm gonna look at it. 15. So let me take it. Let me take a look. Curfew impacts. That's interesting. How did I'm confused. So what are you doing? Is there a change? So you can also edit already up here what the changes. Curfew influenced prices. All right. Curfew. Are you downloading curfew data? Well, there's download data. Like Jeroen, do you have a mic?
Yes, I do. Sorry.
So let me see.
We are not seeing.
Oh, sorry for that. Resume share. Yeah. So I'm looking at your thing. So download the data. So do you already have the curfew data? Or is this downloading the curfew? What's that?
The curfew data itself, not, because we're just compiling that from the internet.
Yeah, exactly. But you need to download it, right? So download curfew data. So there you go. Another issue. Close it if you think it's irrelevant, right? But think carefully about like what is the concrete steps, specific steps that you're going to do.
Okay.
All right. So I'll take a look at your project board. By the way, was it your team also that needed more coaching? Team 15? Wait a sec. No. I want to do Git push pull on team 7. All right. Let me see. Quickly go through this roadmap. Perfect. So you're working on stuff. Yeah. I mean, you'll get more experience with creating issues as you go along. Noah, assigning labels to the issues to keep it somewhat structured. Noah, can you give me a team number? I want to look at your stuff. Team 4. So I'm going to look at the issues, include data part in README. That is, I think, clear. Download data and merge data. See, what I would do is that is super unspecific. It's a big point. So maybe you can break that down into smaller issues. Which data do you want to download? Click on edit and click download this data, download that data, download that data programmatically. And then another issue, merge that script. Don't be afraid of having micro issues. That's exactly what we're going to do. Small bites, chocolate cookies that you can enjoy, but then you're done with it. Right? Noah, does that help? Do you need more examples? More examples? Or are you good? Good, Noah, thanks. Okay, Alberto edit it. Perfect. So, who struggled with this? Any other things? All right. So how does it work is when you meet up, you don't have an agenda because your board is going to be your agenda, right? So that's how it's going to go. Something nice I see here is adding labels. So you can also get an overview of which parts of this project you are in, which you can assign on the issues page. Very good. All right. Right now, we're going to Team 7 and Team 7, please rename your project, because a TU dPrep thing is nothing that gets recruiters excited. If you ever want a job in coding and analytics, right? Same thing. Of course, it's your public repository. It's public. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to access it, right? Give it a proper about page, right? Question mark. Another thing that I want to immediately add, right? So, but I'm looking at this board and quickly, well, first, okay, firstly, we call the backlog, I don't know. Okay, good. Why is it that you haven't assigned any issues for the current sprint? Did you take a break? That's also fine, right? But I want to say...
We actually have a meeting on Monday to really assign all the tasks to everyone, just sit together for a longer period of time.
Something that you need to, that's a good comment. So something that you need to learn is that with working with Git, you don't need meetings which last 4 hours. You can actually meet in like 15-minute meetings and do a very, very quick round. It's better to meet multiple times in a week than it is to, have like these massive meetings. Sometimes with my teams in which I work, we just meet for 15 minutes. Yeah, really. And just look at what has been done and kind of reprioritize, and then off we go. Or we share our experience. Oh, this is in progress. Do you need help? Well, I can help you on this because I'm more experienced in this. Why didn't you start working on this task? Well, this is how you can do it, right? Like maybe next to meeting in a sprint meeting, you can have like a little check-in moment a week, like 15 minutes. We call this a wow meeting in this task, where you can make it like a little feedback round meeting, right? Like getting each other started and motivated, right? But Team 7, you have indicated you had troubles with the Git workflow. Is that true? So can you explain that problem that you are facing?
So yeah, F and I, so one of my teammates, we had an issue. We were trying to connect R with GitHub, which worked, but then we had issues when he tried to push changes. So F that is, I couldn't pull those changes or at least see them, or sometimes it failed to to actually register for him. Yeah,
I understand. Okay, so this is with R, which is good, and I want to take a look at this. But can I listen more about other issues that you're facing with Git, like Git, push, pull, fork? Is that all clear, or do you need an explanation? Because I can also explain this, a little from scratch.
Yeah, that would be actually pretty nice to have that overview.
Yeah. All right. So actually, while you were in break, I made a little overview, and I want to quickly walk you through this overview. It sucks. So if there's any graphical designers in a way who want to like make this nice, be my guest. But I just drafted this, and I think we can have our own cheat sheet, and then the future generations of whoever learns this can look at this cheat sheet, right? So I hope this is a little clear. I'll go through this, right? We are on GitHub right now. I mean, because like with working with Git and GitHub, you change between working in your browser and your computer, and that's confusing to many, right? Some people ask, like, why are you in computers, and what do I need to do in the web interface? So I try to make it clear. On GitHub, you have the repository of the main owner, right? I mean, these are the people that you put into in this sheet, right? So Doga, Astrid, Jeroen, you're like the involuntarily chosen team leads, at least the repository owners, right? So the way I suggest you, and there are other ways in which to handle this, is that on this repository, you manage the issues, and you have your, why did it turn yellow? And you have your project board. In order to do this, you need to actually, and I'm adding this as we speak, you need to actually add each other as a collaborator. I'm adding this right now, and it should pop up soon. Knowing my Mac, you know, Macs typically handle these kind of things. So let me see. It didn't work. All right, there you go. Add each other as collaborator. All right. And now you want to work on this, right? And we kind of pretend this is a project where eventually 20, 30, 50 people teams are going to work on. Because when you go into analytics, you're not going to work just with one colleague. You're going to work with multiple colleagues, right? And you don't want to mess with their code, or you don't want other people to mess with your code. So the first thing that we do is we'll make a copy of this repository under our own username, and which we call forking. This you do in the web interface, right? So I'm going to go to Team 7 right now, which is Robin's project, and I click on fork. And I want to fork it to my own account. It's taking an exact copy of Robin's project. See, the issues, they're gone. There are no issues here anymore, because the issues are really handled at Robin's main repository. He's the owner, he's the boss. Issue management project board are here. This is my copy. See, Hannes Data dPrep versus Robin de Waal dPrep. Right? This is my fork, my copy. And I'm adding this term copy to it. So you understand, see, so it moved to Hannes Data project name, or whoever else is working on this project, Alex, Peak, whoever, right? And now I want to work in this project. Well, I can't really work in this project. I mean, there's a text file which I can change, that's fine, right? But all that magic is happening, you know, in the code here, but, you know, I can just view it. So what I'm doing now is I want to take this repository as a copy to my computer to be able to work on it. So I'll move up here to this URL bar and copy this URL. This is my repository URL. And I'm opening, in my case, the terminal, because I like Git bash. And I go to a folder, research projects. I call it dPrep today, which is a stupid name, excuse me, but you know, I'll just pretend this is my main folder. And I do, and that's again here, git clone. So I'm cloning this repository. Git clone, and I just paste the URL of my fork. To those people that can do git push or pull or something, you know, Effe and who was the other one who had problems? I don't see Robin. You know, maybe you cloned the main repository and not your fork. Robin can clone the main repository because you're the boss of your own repository, but Effe should clone his fork. And you click enter, and you get all the stuff which is on here. Right? So right now I can do ls to view files, but it's easier to do it in my Finder. So I'm opening a new Finder window on my Mac, and I go to this project dPrep for the dPrep today, and tu dPrep. Here it is. So here's the source code, and you know, now I can open the project in R. I just double click on it. R is going to show up, and I can start working on this project. So which is cool. How do you work in such projects? Actually, where's R? Here's R. All right, so I see the git ignore. There's some data which you've downloaded and source code, and I mean, I'm not gonna, yeah, well, actually I'm gonna work on this project. So when you work on a project, remember that ultimately you will have to integrate all of these changes later on, okay? That means you have to integrate your changes with Robin's main repository. And that's gonna be difficult if you're like working all in the same documents. So as a convention, we agree by working in branches, which means you create a little part of your project, and all the changes that you do with this, they happen in a branch. We call it feature branch. And later on, when we merge these changes with what happens in the main repository, Robin, who is the boss on this repository, can see, this belongs to this. Yes, I want to integrate this. I'll show you how this works. And I already discovered a mistake in this, and I'm going to fix this mistake right now in this repository for you guys. All right, so what I'm doing is I do git branch, and I call this delete data. And you know what? Oh, git branch delete data. Oops, it's not okay. I need to go in this project. Sorry, tu dPrep. Okay. Git branch delete data. When you do git status now, you actually see you're still on the branch main, but you need to work with new features. Yeah, suppose I'm F now and I want to contribute to this in these feature branches. So I do git checkout delete data. Right now, I'm switched to the delete data branch. Okay. How does this work? Look at this. So the problem which happened here is that the team committed data to the repository. Git is meant to store code, not data, right? Small data sets sometimes is fine, but like suppose you're doing this, like you only have 100 megabyte of storage space on Git. It's not Dropbox. All we need to do is store the code which retrieves the data on this repository. Okay, so the first thing that I'm doing is wipe the data. Just happens locally, by the way, nothing happened on the main thing. And what I'll do now, I do the git workflow, git status, and now it says, hey, you deleted this. Are you really sure? Yes, git add. I want to commit these changes. Git add data / git status. It turned green. By the way, something that happened because I'm on a Mac and Robin doesn't have a Mac apparently is that this DS store is stored. Oh, actually, you can all tag along. You can all like fork Robin's repository. I mean, for the fun of it. I'll attend to this question in a real bit, right? Well, but let's just suppose this is what happens. And I'm freezing these changes. I'm committing those changes, right? Git status, git add, commit. That's the git workflow. Git status, git add, commit. Delete data. All right. Git status, and it almost looks clean. See, there's just this data folder, nothing else is in there. Now I show you the magic of git branch. Your computer can work in parallel worlds. If we do git checkout main, the data is back because that's that branch. And you can develop stuff there. If you go to your branch, delete data, the data is gone again. You know, this is a different version of your project in which you fix stuff, in which you make stuff better. And later on, we'll ask Robin to integrate these changes, right? But there's something else that we need to do. We need to write source code which downloads this data. Okay, by the way, I go back to this main branch to kind of see which files I need to download. And the way I do this is I'm just go to files, but I'm not saving it. And I'm just typing down those names. Calendar Amsterdam, Csvgz, calendar Csvgz, listings Amsterdam, Csvgz, listings, Csvgz. This looks horrible, but I go back to the delete data branch. And now I'm writing code to download these data sets automatically. I go to source code, and maybe I want to have a module name for data prep. And in this folder, I'm creating a file, download data.r. Can somebody put me a snippet in which how to download the data? Download file, I think it is. Download file, or the URL of these files. Does anybody have them? Calendar, GZ, inside Airbnb, help me out. You're much faster than I am. Amsterdam. You want listings, right? You can expand this in a bit. We just do listings, Csvgz. I think that should be it already. And we want to store it in data listings Csvgz listings Amsterdam. And I'm commenting the other things out here. And I'm set the working directory to this file. Let me see whether it works. Trying, downloading, and boom, the data is there again. See? So we've written a source code that does this. Git status, and now you see this other thing popping out again. It wants to archive it. And if you are not like paying attention, you do git add, and boom, it's green again, and you're committing the very same mistake again. With git reset, we can undo this, right? Git status again, it's all red. So the other thing that we want to do is we want to add Csvgz files to our git ignore, so that none of those files are ever going to be suggested for adding in our version history. Git status, and now you see that these files are disappearing. Oh, untracked, it didn't work. Maybe I need to do like this maybe. Git status. Yeah, now it's not even suggested that these files will be added to your version history. I also want to add this DS store because that's a Mac file, which we just don't want to version. Git status, looks good. It says I've got a bunch of untracked files, so let me add those, git add. There we go. And now we can commit. First downloading of data plus adding DS store and Csvgz files to git ignore. That's a bit what we did. Boom, that's a lot, but you can watch back and slow. Let me go to my workflow here. So we did it. We did git branch because we're creating a new feature. Delete data, that's how we call it. You git checkout feature to work on this. We can switch back and forth. Git checkout main, git checkout feature, git checkout blah, blah, blah. You know, it doesn't matter. Then we're working on it. We're fixing stuff. Git status, git add, git commit, git status, git add, git commit, git status, git add, git commit. And now we want to push the stuff to my fork so it's archived on GitHub and everybody else can see it on your fork. If you do git push, it actually says the current branch, delete data, has no upstream branch. In English, this means like, you have never pushed this delete data branch. Do you really want to push? Yes. And how you do it is by writing git push u, and that's here. This is your cheat sheet, origin, and then delete data. And now you're pushing this change to your fork. Let me go to this fork. Remember, we took a copy of our repository. It's here. Let me refresh. And it says delete data has recent pushes less than a minute ago. You know, I've worked on this and get kind of realized, hey, there's action going. Do you want to let Robin know that you finally fixed this issue of like data deletion? And what you can now do is click on compare and pull request and explain to Robin what you did. I deleted the data that should not be versioned and replaced and added a source code that downloads data. Attention, that's like, it's going to be bold. I have not downloaded all of the data that is required. So somebody needs to to work on a new issue to download all data sets that we need. That's kind of it, right? Create pull request. And now I'm actually curious to see what Robin sees on his screen. And Robin, can you share your screen? I'm stopping the share right now. And I'm stopping the recording real quick. Right, can you, yes, no, that's all fine. All right, can you refresh?
Yeah, for sure.
And now go to pull requests. Third tab.
Oh yeah.
Delete data. I open Bahanas data. Can you look at it?
So
and like
here.
this, all your team members will create pull requests with stuff that they worked on. The small little, you know, chocolate cookie biscuit stuff that they worked on. Click on it. Exactly. So if you're happy with those changes, and I hope you are, you can merge the pull request. But before you do that, click on the little arrow. Yeah, I don't even know what that means. Okay, let's forget about this. I will have to read up on this. All right, so there are two things that you can do. You can merge because you're happy, right? It says there's no conflict, nothing needs to be edited. Or you write more comments and say like, dude, you could have also downloaded all the other files and you can give back that responsibility to me. But right now you're happy. So click on merge pull request. Yes, confirm. You can also give it another message if you like. And that's it. Go. So that's been merged. And that is now the new version of your project. Like this, you as a boss, you can integrate all those requests in your project. And you can rotate also who is the team captain. All right. So on this cheat sheet, which I kind of developed on the fly, I noticed this is on GitHub. You can issue a pull request for your feature. The team captain reviews those issues and integrates these pull requests, merges these pull requests, all right? So here's one thing, Robin, you've spent like a full, like, I don't know, half day on merging pull requests of other people, right? Who have worked on your team, right? You know, one did like downloaded data, another one has an awesome README and, you know, all these other things. Remember, I'm your team member, the anonymous team member, and I took a copy of your project. Remember, that's a copy. My copy is not in sync anymore with all the wonderful things that you have done because it's a copy. You know, I did this feature, I pushed it to you, you did magic things with it and improved your README. And sometimes as team members, you want to make sure that your repository is still up to date with all of the changes that Robin has integrated. So the final thing that you need to do, you know, if your branch is behind the main branch, fetch whatever has happened upstream, whatever has happened in Robin's repository, in the main repository. Right now, you know, Robin, can you change the README real quick? Just go to the repository, go to README and add a question mark to this most thing. And we'll watch you do it. Just click here's a little edit button and add a question mark after this most. Okay, I'm waiting for this to happen. Let's see how fast Robin really is. Not there. Oh, you're fast, man. Right now, so this is the change, but in my repository, and I click on refresh, it's not there yet. It's a copy I took half an hour ago. So what you can do now is you can fetch upstream and fetch and merge. And now you're getting also those changes of the main repository. And you see, I got that question mark too. Now you can continue working off any of the issues that Robin has on this page, like create folders or something like this, download raw data sets. Of course, you can assign people. Does that make sense a little bit? It's a lot, and it's a completely different way of thinking, but that is how the most successful software firms in the world operate on software and data projects. Sorry, you know, for bringing the news. It's not Dropbox, it's this. So, you know, in one way or the other, you have to deal with it. But pretty smart people figured this out. So, you know, put some faith in it that this is a good way to do stuff. But while you're doing this, many problems arise, right? And now I want to zoom into one of those problems, I don't know, of like issues that come up when you work with Git. By the way, you used the chat. Renos. I know how to fork good push as editor. So when the main GitHub repository changed, my local repository, local guide is not updated. How do I update my local repository according to the main one? You have to git clone? No. Git pull. It's up here. So see, that's a very good question, and I will add it to this sheet. So let's go to my copy. Sorry for having you wait that long. But this is up to date, right? Remember we added this question mark? That's cool, right? But the question mark is not on my local computer. How do you get that stuff? Number one, go to your main branch, git checkout main. Now do git pull. And all of those changes that happened in README and git ignore and those calendars were deleted and, you know, so on and so on are now also available locally. Sorry, Renos, for having you wait so long, okay? Git clone you only do once to get it to one computer. And when you want to sync up with what happens on GitHub, you do git pull. I know it's complicated. Renos, this was your question, right? Yeah, it overwrites, but Git is so powerful, you can always roll back to any other version you've ever worked on. That's the beautiful thing. You know, if you think somebody did a mistake, you can just undo the changes, but that's not the topic of today. You're going to figure that out on the way and I'll help you, but that is just too much for everybody else, I guess, right now. Okay. What happens if collaborators do not fork the repository and clone their own URL, but instead clone the URL of the owner's repository? That's also okay. One thing that happens many times is that then these people will also always work in the main branch. And that messes up things because, you know, you're editing the same files at the same moment. If you work in separate feature branches, this is also a legit way of collaborating with each other. But with this forking, we mimic contributing to open science projects, something that you may or may not, you may eventually start doing, such as when you enroll with a thesis and you're forking the copy of your advisor's project and you're asked to develop a new feature, you know, that's kind of the thing that we're talking here. But it is legit to all be collaborators on Robin de Wald's TU dPrep proposal. You know, you need to add those collaborators to your repository, and then you can do git pull on the main repository, or git clone, and then git pull on the main repository. But I use forks because in that way I can teach you how to work with projects that you're not the owner of. That's maybe the little trick here. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah, Jeroen, what if team members want to work on the same README file at the same time? For example, one works on motivation. Not a problem at all. Make it 2 feature branches, you know, and Git will automatically figure out how to merge it. Try it out. And sometimes it can figure it out. And then Robin is in charge of like making this look nice again, right? He'll get a conflict and saying like, you know, some stuff happened and I don't know how. And then Robin can fix it, or whoever is it. Jeroen, yeah, if you're losing this, you need to talk to me while this is happening so I can like actually see what goes wrong. If you work in feature branches, usually it is not a problem. Okay, that's why we need to work in feature branches. What's the difference between git pull and git pull origin main? That is a good question. What does that even mean? Git pull origin main. Git pull is get the stuff from GitHub, from the website, right? From github.com. Get me the stuff which happened at the repository. Origin is another way to say, hey, it's github.com/hannesdata/tu dprep. That's the name of your repository. And main is the name of the branch that you want to get. And main branch is the normal branch that, you know, your main repository is in. So suppose you want to pull in the changes from the what was it called? Delete data branch, you're going to do git pull origin delete dash data. And then you're getting those changes. Git pull gets everything. So that's easy, right? I always do git pull. But when it doesn't know about the existence of some kind of branch on, GitHub, it's good to actually explicitly specify this. These are issues you're all going to face. So you need to be in close touch with me so that at that time I can show you how to fix these things. And Google is also your best friend. When I try to fetch upstream my page with the page of the boss, it says I have to open a pull request because of conflicts. Should I do that? I can take a look at this issue. I don't know this message, so I need to take a look at this. So maybe you can prepare setting up a Teamviewer session at Csvgz.com, get Teamviewer. All right, this was a lot, I understand. First of all, is there anybody who can make this look more beautiful? Can we have maybe we just do it on PowerPoint or something, on Google Docs or something? Is that a good idea? And we can make this cheat sheet better. We'll just make it a collaborative cheat sheet. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Good. So I'll move this to, I need to take a note on this, move this to, well, I think I will remember. Good. Any Git questions that you want to ask? For the last 15 minutes of today's class, I will look at some of your issues and solve them with what was the content of today's tutorial. Just a second, I need to. Good. Yeah, when Git is connected to R, there's also a green arrow which pulls the most recent version. Yes, fetch and merge option via Git. Okay, I'll show you real quick. So in R, you can also see Git. So you can kind of get rid of most of the weird looking comments that I have worked on, right? So this, I'm a bash person, so I like this. But if you don't like this, you have little buttons, you can git pull, or you can git, I don't know what rebase is, you can push, there you go. You can do all kinds of, you can switch branches. Actually, this is the first time I'm using this. So now I'm in the delete data branch, but I can go back to the main branch. I can look at, explore it. It's the same kind of functionality, but then it looks way more friendly. Okay, I can see Git and R. Well, the thing is, you need to create a little project, and then only you can see. So what you do is you do new project, you go existing directory, you specify your project directory, and when you do this, then typically you get the Git option. You need to have this little project file in here. Otherwise, R is not looking for Git. Okay, Julie, if you can't figure it out, let me know. I'll take a look at your screen. Noah, so when Git is connected to R, there's also a green arrow which pulls. We have done this, yes. Or should you always use the fetch and merge option via GitHub? Fetch and merge. Well, this is my fork. This is my fork. So when I pull, I only get what happened in my forked repository. But my fork doesn't know yet. Robin did some magic and changed stuff in his main version. So when you want to sync that up, you need to go to GitHub and do fetch and merge. Does it make sense, Noah? Good. Julie, can you see Git and R? Still no. All right. Maybe you also set up a little Teamviewer session, right? Get Csvgz.com, get Teamviewer, and I'll make sure it happens. Okay. Just install Teamviewer and then send me a private message here with your ID and password, and I'm looking at your screen in just a bit. Alrighty. So these are the remaining issues, I think. Julie, yeah, Julie's issue I want to take a look at. Is there anything else I want to take a look at? Good. Now I'm fetching one of those issues. And which team I haven't taken a look at? Maybe I ask like this. Oh, Julie. Oh, you don't know how to start a session? Well, if you go to the link, it explains you how. And I can also meet you after the session to get that fixed, I guess. Which team I haven't taken a look at? Some team, please. Team 6. Sorry, Team 6, for not giving you so much attention during this session. Good. Let me look at what is important. I'll open the project board and let me see, write our Markdown report for the Venice data set. Yeah, that's a good one. So I'll let you know that I'll work on it. Okay. This is a stupid name, Project Venice, but Markdown Venice. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll fork. That's exactly what you want me to do, right? Team 6, work on stuff. And I'm checking out this project. Or do I do like things I shouldn't be doing? Team 6, Venice. Let me know. Put it in the chat. Good. So investigating Airbnb house. Woo, there's nothing in here. How can I work on a Markdown if you haven't even downloaded data? Man. So, you know, one step after the other. So maybe you're just not in that stage yet, right? But, you know, actually, am I still? Oh, yeah, this is not, let me first, and maybe that helps Julie too, investigating Airbnb hosts. The first thing I'm doing is actually create a project because apparently you haven't created an R project yet, which makes it much easier to work on this. So I go to research, dPrep, investigating, that's my project, create project. Here we go, looks much better. And now I'm adding some stuff here, new folder. I call this source, and here I call dPrep. And I'm writing a little code snippet to download the Venice data. Download file. Well, first of all, I'm creating the directory data to be able to download it because you haven't created it yet. And then I'm downloading the Venice data. Let me see. Which one do we want? Which data of those that are here do you want? Venice. The listings. All right, listing CSV. We'll take the Csvgz because that's the full data. Okay. So I'm pasting the URL and I download it to data, and I call it listings Venice Csvgz. That's it. And I save this file as download data.r. Before I run it, my working directory is, well, let me maybe do it this way and figure that out on the way, data. It's downloading my data file. And you see that now the data has populated too. When you look at Git, you see actually that data was added, source was added. So before I actually commit my stuff, I want to make sure that none of this Csvgz data ever gets versioned, and you see it disappearing. See, before it's realized something in your data folder changed, but I'm adding the Csvgz's to the Git ignore, so they will never be versioned. So it's out. Okay. This looks good. So all my source code are there. I'm staging it and I'm committing it. And by the way, this is still the main branch, not good practice, but create our project structure and download data. That's it. Commit. Here we go. And now I could start working on the data exploration too, because it's a, let me see, new branch. I can click on this little icon up here, create a new feature branch, and I call it, how did I promise this? Markdown Venice, right? That's what I wanted to do. Markdown Venice. Great. Blah, 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 blah. I'm now on the Markdown Venice branch. And I can start with my stuff. So, you know, explore, file, new, We do a markdown. Exploration of Venice, not vacation. See what kind of mood I am in. And I can start like loading in the data. So a read CSV. Actually, we need to read data from Csvgz. I'm asking Google how to do this in R. Sorry, I'm a little fast right now, looking at the time, but we're a little gentle in the next week or so you can catch up. And we're using data, listings, Venice.csv.gz. So with this little code snippet, see, sometimes I don't even read, but with this code snippet, can't. You see, I first need to save the file, maybe, dPrep, inspect RMD, data, listings, that's a spelling mistake. So let me go to the download again and correct this immediately. It's Venice, not Venice. Right now, you see I have the full data set. I can delete the one which is not the correct one. Go to my inspect RMD and try running this code again. Data, listings, Venice. Why doesn't this work? Data, listings, Venice.cc.gz. You see the mistake? To the file. Yes. Yeah, that works. There you go. Got the data inside. And I think we could, if we wanted, but looking at the time, it's not really something practical to do. Now start investigating this data. Maybe just have, a summary of this data set. Let me call this DF or data frame, summary DF, and plot DF. Let me just do bets or something like this. Or the histogram of DF bets. Does that work? DF, gotta reload. What's wrong here? What's the error message that I get? And I think the problem is that investigating Airbnb host data listings underscore Venice. I don't know what this issue here right now is. Okay, got the data, and we can generate this report. Okay, that's a lot, but let me finish this workflow. I'm saving my files, I commit to this branch, and I say initial draft of RMD report. Commit. I'm almost done, but remember, we've done this. We push it, and then on GitHub, we need to do a pull request. Let me finish with this. Push, it's pushing Markdown Venice, but we also need to push the changes that we did to main. Let's also push this. Done. Let me go to Git, which is here, do a pull request. But let's also do a pull request for the main branch. And maybe this has happened already automatically. I think it has happened automatically. Yeah. And now Axel can merge my changes. All right. Sorry, Randos, for being so quick. All right, how do we go from here? Julie, I will address your question after the session, so which means like now, like after I close this session. Let me see what other stuff are there. All right. So what is it that we did today? Actually, we kind of took it slow, right? So I showed you how to manage your issues. I showed you how to curate your project board. And then I spent a considerable amount of time showing you how to work with Git, either from the command line or by using RStudio. Take your time to get used to this new way of working, and scream at your computer, or scream at me. I won't hear. If you're not on Zoom, do that. It's going to be frustrating, but it's going to be helpful. Very, very helpful. It's what industry does. So don't think you're still writing stuff on paper with paper and pencil. This is not how it happens in industry. Next week, let me look at the schedule. We have a live stream on engineering data sets. Suppose that you want support on exploring and auditing data with Markdown. We can also set up a coaching session, like an extra stuff where you can meet me. If you need that, put it in the chat right now, so I can set it up. You can also be in touch on WhatsApp. If I don't hear from you, I just expect you to do this independently. If you do want this session, let me know, and I'm happy to have it. All right. Any remaining final questions? Thanks so much, and see you soon. Bye-bye.